What's up, guys? I'm Evan Wick,
I'm Patrick Spray.
and this is episode 2 of
Washed
Washed Up. Back at it again faster than we thought we would be. We wanted to do this kind of like a weekly thing, so I was going to fly back to California, and me and Patrick would Zoom in.
Yep.
But here we are. My flight's canceled. This is probably better anyway. We got the whole setup.
Yeah. Can't really beat this. I mean, we got to get a lot of episodes in here while
Yeah.
we can.
I'm a sucker for the studio, too. I like the studio a lot better.
I like the feel like with the table and all this. I kind of wish we could recreate this, but
We could recreate this. This is a kitchen dining table. When I get back, we'll all have.
It is pretty DIY, isn't it?
It is a do-it-yourself, but it's none. The production is great. The production is great.
We
Otherwise,
got Jake back here drinking Fresca.
Yep.
Go.
Jake does a good job. But yeah, I like the production. I hate tuning into a podcast and it's like two people zooming in.
For sure. I mean, plus we got stuff to talk about. We got Taylor Sadulaev stuff going on, and
Yeah,
a lot of topics that are on our heads right
a
now.
lot of stuff in the wrestling world going on right now, and college wrestling's just coming out. So I feel like maybe we could have some stuff to talk about there.
Could do like preseason picks at each weight.
Preseason picks at each weight. That could be interesting.
We could also save that for next week. I don't know. We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
But
Get us in it.
big thing going on now. Taylor and Sadulaev.
Yes.
One, how do you think that will go?
Well, I mean, I'm not happy about it. I think that's silly, right? Why would UWW allow something like that to happen?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of tarnishes the freestyle reputation because
Yeah,
it's like we got the biggest thing in the world going on right now. The biggest match, one of the biggest matches ever, and it's going to be first round. Like the coverage is probably not going to be that great on it either. But it's still a wrestling match. I'm just glad that we get to see it for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that it's happening, and it's. I feel like it's kind of ironic that it's happening right after he announced retirement, right?
What do you mean ironic? It's happening.
I feel like it.
You're just saying like
Like, why now? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, well, first match, no less.
Yeah, I think it's just poor seating and everything.
Well,
on freestyle.
that wasn't the seed right off the bat, wasn't? Didn't they change it?
They had to change it because there was some mess up in they didn't use a certain criteria.
Okay.
And so they had to move it on. But yeah, it's like we're seeing this first round. It's kind of upsetting. And then Goss and Poor's on the same side too.
Yeah, semis, right?
Yeah, the Iranian. So this is kind of just a disaster.
Can you name one person on the other side of the bracket?
No, I can't. I cannot. So whoever is going to be in the finals at 86 kg who isn't Sadulaev, Gassenpour, David
92,
Taylor.
right?
92, yeah. What did I say?
86.
Yeah, 92. Whoever's going to be on the finals on the other side, really there's a big asterisk there. Big asterisk there. And then, dude, one of those guys is not going to be a medalist.
Yeah.
One person makes it to the finals. One
One's
person.
getting kicked back, either Taylor or Sadulaev, right?
Yeah, and then they got to wrestle each other for the bronze. You know what could be cool? I hate to say cool. If Taylor doesn't medal, I think he might think about continuing competing.
Really? I thought you were going to say he'd be the only person to retire twice.
He would not be
Back-to-back tournaments.
No, he would not be the only guy to do that. Oh, you talking about Gable?
No, I'm not talking. What are you talking about?
You said retirement twice.
Did he not retire after his last tournament?
He didn't really actually retire. It was kind of like everyone else retired for him, you know?
That was just the misconception once he took the OK State job.
Yeah, I thought the wrestling world just kind of jumped to a conclusion that once he's taken the job, he's going to leave. But nonetheless, I think on this match, I got Taylor.
I'm kind of leaning towards Taylor too.
Really? Yeah, I think Taylor.
Well, comeback story.
Yeah, come back for one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
No, didn't miss a tournament, but it's a comeback story.
Yeah, but I just think he'll be able to outpace Sadulaev. And he tends to wrestle smart against those guys. Yes, Donnie is a similar style to Sadulaev, and he did really well. We've seen Sadulaev do really well against Snyder, but in my opinion, here's another hot take. By the way, we'll have to go over the hot takes.
Let's just do it right now.
Wait. I think David Taylor would beat Kyle Snyder in a wrestling match.
I don't think many people would disagree with that, to be
You know,
honest.
not a hot take. Even for the size, I don't even think there has to be a significant catch weight.
I mean, but think about how much taller than Snyder
Yeah, he's
is. Like,
freaking
sure, the weight might be 10 pounds difference, but he's a bigger human being than Kyle Snyder is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a bigger frame,
Yes.
which could help him a lot. So I think it doesn't say much. Yes, Sadulaev has beaten one of our greats, but I think that Taylor is a better great.
I don't think it's that hot of a take.
Really?
Those are hot takes.
Yeah, these are hot takes. We will be consistently going over these hot takes. And this one was me in 2018. I said this to Tristan
Did you
Moran.
put the date on there too?
I put the date, not the precise date, 2018. Jaden Cox is mid. I did say that. I did say that.
Hang on, show that to the camera real quick.
Regrettable thing to say.
Jaden, we don't think you're mid.
I ate my words on that one. This one, even hotter, perhaps. I know you might be questioning who could say such a thing and then make an even worse prediction, but
Yeah, that first one's
Marcus Blaze is overrated. And this one, I have the precise date, September 2nd, 2024. I said that to you, correct?
You did say that to me. I thought that was crazy.
And then, 2 weeks later, he rattled off the best senior level tournament.
Be a little
I'll
organized,
fold this
dude.
one.
Fold it.
I'll fold this one up for you. But hot takes. We need Patrick to come up with some hot takes, and maybe we can have a good take jar.
Good takes?
A good take, yeah. But they have to be like really risky things to say.
You think so?
Yeah, you have to
You
risk
just
it to get.
put yourself out there. For
Yeah, because
right?
I mean, like that was a risky thing to say. Marcus Blaze is overrated now. In hindsight's bad, but at the time,
You have takes about everything, though. You just hope they're good, and sometimes they're pretty bad.
yeah, sometimes they're really bad. But when you take risks like that, definitely.
All right,
shut
well,
down.
think about it this way. If you had to take a take, what's more important, like when you think back about the best wrestler of all time for U.S. accolades or like performance in their prime?
For sure, performance in their prime. To me,
Yeah. Do you think that would matter more like 20 years down the line? You're thinking back like, okay, who's the best wrestler that we had seen? Obviously, the future wrestlers kind of count them out right now, but
yeah. I mean, I think accolades do mean something. Who was able to be consistent.
like Kyle Snyder is probably one of the most accolade like person,
Yeah,
for
I
USA
think
wrestling
he's got to
of
have
all
just as
time.
many medals as JB,
which is insane.
or close to as many medals. Yeah, which is very insane.
Do you think he's done competing anytime soon?
I remember when he was younger, he said he wanted to get 4 Olympic titles, which is definitely he probably couldn't do that now. But I don't see him being done any.
How old is he? Like 26, 27?
I think he's like 2 years older than me, so probably 29, 28 years old.
Oh shit! I thought he was.
I don't think he'll be done. He's someone who could land on a program too that could be really good for that program.
You think he would have the same effect? Well, okay. Let's just preface this. He's 28 years old.
28.
Do you think that he would have the same effect at any university that David Taylor would have? And we can kind of get into that effect that we think David Taylor's had on OK State, but in regards to Kyle Snyder,
No.
I
Very
don't
similar,
think
though.
it would be nearly to the level of David Taylor's effect.
I think it would seriously boost the program though.
Depends on the program for sure, but
Yeah. But wherever he goes, it's going to be a bump for the majority of programs. I think like Michigan now is taken second.
yeah.
But it would be I think it would be a good step for them when Bourmet retires if they wanted to seek outside of it, like hiring a Kyle Snyder, even a top program like that. It would be smart of them to get a Kyle Snyder.
Yeah, I think the boost would be minimal if you went to a place like Michigan, though.
Yeah. But nonetheless,
All right, let's
you
get
were
back to
you were asking about the GOAT. Like if we're talking who's the GOAT, right? What's the determining factors, accolades, or the best performance?
I would think so. Like we had talked about this before, like accolades, someone similar to like a Kyle Snyder, who's longevity and consistency at the highest level,
Yep.
or a guy like Gable Steveson, who is like the highest of levels for a shorter period of time.
I think Gable Steveson is better. I would consider Gable Steveson a better wrestler than Kyle Snyder.
Okay, and what are you basing that off of? Performance?
Performance, the way that he performed at the Olympics, he beat very, very, very solid wrestlers like Taha Ghul at the Olympics.
Very good win.
Petrashvili
Petrashvili.
ended up being the Olympic champion the next time around and was old, even older.
He's what is he, like 40?
No, he's surprisingly young, but he's up there. He's going another round.
Petrashvili?
Petrashvili's going another round. But I think Gable, yeah, I mean, look what he did with Paris. The only guy he ever lost to. Think about this. He would be pretty easily a 4-time undefeated NCAA champion if he redshirted his freshman year.
You think? We're talking about Steveson, right?
Yeah, Steveson. He didn't redshirt that year. He lost to Anthony Cassar.
Yeah, that's true freshman year.
True freshman year. And
Did he lose a match after Cassar for the
Nope.
next like 2-3 years?
Not even close. Not even close.
For sure in NCAA, but like what about even world team?
International? No, I don't think so. And then I was on the team with him at the RTC duels. I wrestled for Gopher.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the first time
That was kind of a cool event. I forgot about that.
It was really cool. It was like during
Who'd you
COVID.
wrestle that day?
That day, I wrestled Massa, Gant, and Makai Lewis.
Yes, I remember you had 3 like pretty solid matches.
Three really good guys.
Did you beat Mackay?
I beat Mackay, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember calling you after that, it being like that was right after the.
That was my revenge on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really, I felt good.
Once Shane Griffith got your number.
Yeah, but Gable beat Nick Wisdowski. That was the first time Gable beat
Yeah,
Nick
he kind of
Wisdowski.
whooped him that day, didn't he?
Yeah, it was close. It was like 4-3 or 5-3, but he dominated.
Did he whoop him later on?
Later on, he whooped him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympic trials, he torched him. And that's another thing, like Olympic team trials, finals, wrestles world bronze medalist in Nick Wisdowski and texts him like 3 times in a row, like 2 times in a row.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Gable Stevenson was at the highest level for a solid couple of years. But there was no one really around his scene.
What do you think, performance or accolades?
I don't know. I get the argument for performance, and I think that that's probably true. Like, if you were the best for a short amount of time, does that mean that you're better than someone else who was one of the best for a longer period of time? I don't know. I think longevity is like that's an important topic to like kind of discuss about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you're able to be great for a long time, maybe not the greatest, but you're great for a long period of time, I think that's almost more impressive than being the greatest for a shorter period of time.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that.
So they may not be the best wrestler per se, but it's definitely more impressive in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. David Taylor seems to kind of have had both.
Yeah, it was
longevity.
Yeah,
Didn't make a team for 5
he was
years.
highest level for like what 2-3 years there.
3, 4 maybe even.
He did win an Olympic title, didn't he?
I think his first world title was in 17 or 18, and then he was done in 2024.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was shocking for me to see that Okie State decided to hire him.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like
Well, it's
a few
surprising
days
for what
later.
reason?
Just because I had heard that Coleman Scott was going to get the job.
Yeah, I remember that being a whole thing.
And it was kind of like the first time in a while I had seen something like that go down where they brought Coleman Scott in, looked like they were going to hire him, and then
they kind of pushed him out.
And then kind of pushed him out, yeah. But initially I thought that's a weird decision, and then a few days later I was like, this is genius. This is like,
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to compete with Penn State, that was a move you had to make.
yeah, and I think that they're going to be able to compete with Penn State easily. They're going to be the next best
And
competitor.
Iowa's kind of in that stratosphere too.
Iowa's in the stratosphere, yeah, but do they have the momentum like Okie State has now? I think Okie State could outperform.
So I was
every other
going to
team.
just ask that. Do you think OK State moves ahead of Iowa now in like perception of college wrestling? I think Iowa's been pretty handily at 2 for a while.
Not even at 2. Michigan just took. I think they took 5th last year. Iowa did. They were low. Iowa State beat them
Yeah.
in the tournament. Yeah, so I do think for sure.
So OK State, you think moves
Okie
ahead
State,
of Iowa?
yeah, and I just think what's so big about it is who is the most decorated or most glamorous college wrestling coach right now other than Kale?
That's a good question.
Other than Taylor, because the answer is hands down David Taylor, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
There's no one you can even think of, right? And I think that just goes a long way, especially for like high school kids, to see a David Taylor.
I mean, Tom and Terry Brands are obviously both very successful.
They're big, but I think their name's a little bit older.
It's definitely an older name, but I think if they were just coming off the scene like David Taylor was, we would be talking about them in the same light, I think.
Yeah. How do you think Okie State's going to do next? Do you think that they will be that good? Or
So
do you
let's
it's
think
gonna
about
be
like
huge?
who they had on their team already and who they just got an influx of, right?
25, Troy Spratley,
Sproutley's tough.
dog, total dog.
Okay.
And just at 57, they got Fish.
Fish.
65 will most likely be Cam Amin.
I mean, do you think that Fish is going to All-American? I don't think Fish is going to All-American.
He'll be good. And with David Taylor, he's a long dude. I think.
He is a long, yeah.
I think we could see like an Olejnik type thing out of him where he transfers.
in 1 year with David Taylor.
Olejnik only had 1 year with Okie State.
Yeah, that wasn't David Taylor.
So even better with Caleb Fish, right? You're saying?
That's debatable. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Caleb Fish is going to get better at wrestling, obviously, right? I don't know if he's going to get to the level of an All-American status this year.
Okay. And then let's just say Cam Amin, 65.
Very, very easily could.
Easily, he's already a 3-timer.
Yep.
Dean Hamidi,
AA.
which was funny because when he committed, I was kind of like, Okie State. Really?
That
I
was
thought he
before
could have
David Taylor got there too.
before he got there, and it ended up being the best decision he could have made.
How crazy is that?
Dude, like every kid who committed to Okie State this year, I was never really a huge Okie State fan. I just don't think over the years we've seen the performance out of the best guys that they possibly could have had.
You're saying as a whole, right?
As a whole,
Obviously, individuals.
some guys that do good fixing
Sure.
Ferrari. But I was like, gosh, those kids just totally hit gold, and they didn't even know it. David Taylor moves in, Thomas Gilman moves in, RBY moves in, like huge for those kids.
Yeah.
Um,
But okay, so
and then so on top of Hemedy,
I was gonna say we brought up 4 guys out of a
Plot.
10-man roster. Plot's very good. I agree.
huge.
Is he staying at 84?
I'm sure he'll be at 84. And then
It's a
Wyatt,
tougher field down though.
84. Yeah, 84 is going to be
It's a
84
tougher
is gonna
field
be
now.
tough.
So I mean,
But he's presumably
he's still
third.
he's still probably gonna be an All-American.
Presumably third. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then at heavyweight they got Wyatt Hendrickson.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Wyatt Henderson moving in. So that's 4 move-ins.
Yeah, so I mean already let's just say David Taylor doesn't do anything, which I don't think will happen. Let's just say this first year David Taylor's aura doesn't rub off on the guys.
I would say right now they have. I got to remember who else is on the team. Jordan Williamson's not there anymore.
No, Little Rock.
Is it Williamson? That's his name.
Jordan Williams.
Williams.
Yep.
Hey, why did he get kicked out? Do you know?
I have no clue. Did he get kicked out or did he just transfer?
I heard he kind of got pushed out.
I have no clue. He's in the Pac-12s though, Little Rock. He had a close match with Chance Lamer last year. He's good.
He's a good wrestler.
He's a really good wrestler. But I don't know. I don't know if he got kicked out or anything. He transferred.
I think regardless of how this year goes with OK State, I think they're on the up. Right. I think it's only going to get better from this point on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what we're going to see from now on. This has changed the way that administrations hire
For sure.
coaches.
Look at how much money has come out of the woodworks for Oklahoma State. Like,
Yeah.
they might have had the money before, but I didn't see them using it to the level
Dude,
they
they
are
just
now.
got Zahid.
They just got Zahid. I mean, look at all the people that they brought in.
RBY.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't that happening before? Is it just because they've decided to go all in with David Taylor, or why?
I think John Smith was a little bit complacent. I heard that he didn't like the whole NIL thing, which is like any coach who at the time was saying they don't like NIL. It's like, come on, get with the times, dude. You may not like it, but this is the game you got to play. People like money,
Yeah, I would.
and you're gonna have to recruit with money.
Yeah, for sure, you got to be able to adapt, but you can still dislike it.
Oh yeah, you can still. But what I heard was he disliked it and didn't really.
So he just acted
Jump
like
on
it
it.
wasn't a thing.
I bet he raised a little bit of money, but he didn't prioritize it like he should have.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was.
Maybe that's why he brought Coleman in. He's like, help me out. We can't do it. Let's get David Taylor. All right, you're out, Coleman.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And I think now we're seeing Okie State has a huge funding of money for RTC, and they got the great guys and they got the great coach.
You think Zahid's gonna take a jump now?
Maybe he's training with David Taylor. He's training with probably
day,
the
right?
second best guy. In
Theoretically, every day.
yeah, every day.
Dustin Plott's there.
Dustin Plot. Yeah, I think it's a substantially better place for him to be than ASU.
Yeah,
He could do good.
interesting.
Yeah. But that's going to be interesting now to see because they are prioritizing RTC. It seems like a lot of schools are not prioritizing RTC.
I was gonna just talk about that. Like, when we were having this conversation a while back, using NIL money to recruit transfers versus like solely transfers. Like, let's use a Michigan. How many of their guys are transfers? I would argue quite a few.
Like 4.
At
Griffith,
least.
Gomez, D'Agostino, Chris Cannon. Like a lot. Ton of them.
But I mean, we just rattled off 4 for Oklahoma State. Like, that's kind of the new norm. It's not like a couple schools are doing it. It's like almost all the schools are doing it now.
Yeah. It's just what teams seem to be prioritizing. Because like Iowa, for example, I think they kind of have let go their RTC altogether, which I think is a bad move. I think
Yeah, I think it's
culturally.
I think you're right. I think it's still there. Obviously, I don't think it's as big of an emphasis as what they used to put on their RTC.
Not nearly, yeah.
Right. I think Penn State's RTC is still strong.
Very strong. Okie State's RTC now is stronger
Is
than
now
ever.
strong.
In Michigan, even though they do get recruits, they do have a strong RTC.
I think they're on the same level as Iowa for an RTC. It's like it's still there, it's still strong, but I feel like the aura around it is kind of like diminished.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to see college coaches put emphasis on RTCs a little bit more.
More than they are right now.
More than they are right now. Because, I mean, we've seen a dip now. So they're going to have to put more emphasis on it if they want to create a good culture of wrestling. I mean, unless they just want to transfer, like pick up transfers.
All right, some coaches do.
They do, but it's just like, that's kind of like, as that goes on, you're going to have to get more and more transfers because your guys aren't getting developed.
It's not a
from the RTC.
sustainable model.
It's not sustainable. Iowa's going to have to keep recruiting more and more RTC guys or transfers because they don't have an RTC to develop their guys.
I think that's one thing that Penn State's done very well but they're also recruiting the best of the best. Like,
Yeah.
for some,
Penn State's a self-sustaining program. At this
I think that's probably true. But you tell me why you think it is that the best wrestlers in the country, I would argue more often than not, are moving towards Penn State. Now, the kids who are like good recruits but not the best of the best are getting better in college there. I think we both can agree with that at Penn State.
For sure, but I think that goes back to what we talked about last time was just like they've got the best wrestlers in the country with them with an
At the
RTC,
RTC,
and they have no reason to doubt themselves.
That's fair.
Like, you're the best program that has ever existed. Like, why would you doubt your training going into a match? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting. Who do you think are the next premier coaches?
Are we saying like people who are athletes right now or anything?
Anything.
So like not David Taylor like esque.
Not David Taylor.
anything.
Yeah, anything.
I think Brian Snyder would be a very good coach.
Brian Snyder would be great. He's been at Nebraska. That's been
He's
a
been there for a
phenomenal program
while.
the last
It's
few
been a very
years.
good program. I think like cop outs are like JB and Kyle Dake, but I feel like they're both. I don't know about you. Think JB's still wrestling? Like,
Do I think he's gonna retire this next year?
didn't he like take his shoes off or something?
No, didn't take his shoes off.
Oh, maybe I'm mistaken.
I think there's speculation about him retiring after this Worlds. I don't think he would. I don't think he would
No.
retire. No.
What do you think is like a? Okay, let's do this. We'll do 2 coaches that are assistants that we
Okay.
think could be good coaches, and then 1 senior level athlete.
So,
3
and
coaches total.
On the assistant level,
You can't use Snyder. I already took him. We'll do it a draft. I start with Snyder. You go.
Becker at Minnesota.
Luke Becker.
Yeah, Becker at Minnesota.
That's a good one.
I think he's great. Minnesota's done a great job.
We'll
I
do a-
really like.
We'll do a snake draft so you can go again.
And then, not an assistant coach, but was an assistant coach. One of my
Yeah, I
favorites.
know you love this guy.
Andrew Howe.
Yeah.
You know why? Is because, dude, when we first got, I love talking about Big Ten stuff.
Yeah.
When we first got into the Big Ten, it was like Northwestern was a school you walked over.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, they took 6th at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Are you saying that's
Sixth.
like because of Andrew Howe? You think?
I think so. When I talked to Sebastian Rivera or Ryan Deacon, it seems like Andrew Howe was their go-to guy.
For sure.
Like if I could talk to
I
any
knew that
coach
about
right
Deacon.
now about development, I would talk to Andrew Howe.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's running a club now in like northern Indiana.
I think so. Which I thought, dude, he went from a school in like 6 years, a school that you walk over to a school that you like. Dude, they were tough as nails. Ryan Deacon was an NCAA champion. Sebastian Rivera, probably the best wrestler to never win an NCAA title, if I had to guess.
There's a hot take. That could be
The best. Dude, beat Spencer Lee twice. Beat
all right,
RBY.
all right. Side
Beat-
tangent. Let's explore
Yeah.
this real quick. Sebastian Rivera. Is he the best wrestler to never win an NCAA?
Best wrestler to never win, and he never even made the finals. He beat
That's so crazy to say that. then.
Spencer Lee twice. RBY.
He's got high level wins, but I mean, who else is he losing to? I mean, you're the king of WrestleStat. Pull it up.
He lost at NCAA's. He lost his senior year to Nick Lee. Oh, and Cole Matthews. Is that the pit guy? Cole Matthews?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
He lost to Cole Matthews.
He lost to Cole Matthews.
I mean,
but that
Cole
was
Matthews
the year
is a
that
very
Cole
good wrestler, but come on,
He lost to Cole Matthews when Cole Matthews took 3rd
still.
at the NCAA
Still.
tournament.
You
Cole
can't-
Matthews is on one. But nonetheless, and then he beat somebody else, RBY and Seth Gross. Dude.
Yeah, he did beat. Yeah, he beat
In-
Gross.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, like that is insane. And then he just beat. Did he beat Aliyev International?
Dude, why timeout? Dayton Fix is a 3-time runner-up, 4-time runner-up.
Yeah. But again, I don't think he's beat the quality of guys that
I don't know, dude. He's a world silver medalist.
has Dayton Fix. So is Sebastian Rivera.
He beat. Okay,
So
he's
is
beaten
Sebastian
Thomas.
Rivera.
Okay, fair. He beat Thomas Gilman. That's a very high level win for him,
Good, very good.
right? He also beat Seth Gross.
Okay, well, with Thomas Gilman, I could say Sebastian Rivera beat Spencer Lee, who beat Thomas Gilman. twice.
Okay, well,
in a row.
by that logic, Matt Ramos is phenomenal.
We only did it once, and the other accolades don't really
Okay,
match
what
up
about
with
Nick
Matt Ramos.
Piccinini? We're just gonna like pick every person that's beaten Nick Lee.
Spencer Lee,
You know what I meant.
but to beat him twice is a different thing.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Completely different thing. Sebastian Rivera, one of the best of all time.
He is definitely one of the best to never win for sure, based off of like the wins that he's had. But I would still pick Dayton Fix over him
I think the best
for sure.
Who is your the premier coach? Maybe not an assistant premier coach that you think would be the best.
Well, hang on. Before we get into that, hold that thought. We got to get back into our draft.
Okay.
So you went Howe and you
Becker.
went Becker. I'm going Tuna, and then you can pick someone who's still an athlete.
Okay.
All right. So I would go. I would love if Casey Cunningham would leave Penn State and you
Of
guys
course. Yeah.
There was rumblings that he was going to go to Central Michigan. You remember that? That is this summer.
I do remember that. I don't know.
But
if
I
believe
don't
that.
see how he would ever leave Penn State. Like that is such a great place to be.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably just take over the program when Kale's done. But who knows when Kale's done? But I just think they have such a good. Why leave? Why leave? You're at the best program.
Yeah, I mean you're at the best program for sure.
Yeah.
But no,
I think David Taylor picking up a program is bigger than Casey Cunningham picking up a program.
I mean news wise for sure, but I think in relative like status of that school, I think Casey Cunningham would elevate a program easily.
Like he's just a better, objectively better coach.
With the people that he has like kind of been around at that school and like what I've heard from people coming from there is like he is phenomenal.
Right. Okay.
Honorable mention Kendrick Maple. I heard he's a very good coach too.
Yeah,
I've
Missouri.
never like been around
Missouri
him
is
coaching,
one of
but
the most underrated programs, I think.
they're consistently competitive
They do great.
every year.
Yeah, Jaden
Last
Cox,
year they kind of
Keegan
had a down
O'Toole.
year. Last year was kind of a down year.
Who was another one? Jaden Cox, Keegan O'Toole.
Are we talking about just like highest level of
The
wrestling?
best wrestlers from Missouri.
I would say Rocky Elam at this point.
Elams, yeah, the Elam brothers are really good.
Um,
They've done great.
Brock Mahler. I mean he's kind of his stock I would say is going down for sure, but I think he was a high level wrestler for a while.
Yeah, Missouri does phenomenally. But I like that pick. I like Kendrick Maple. I've heard great things about him. Keegan usually has really good things to say about Kendrick.
All right. Athlete. Could you imagine if Aaron Brooks got a job right now? Wouldn't that be insane?
Too young.
He is
But
definitely too young.
It would be insane.
That would break the. I think that would break the wrestling community.
Yeah, I think people want to see someone else who has the accolades.
How does that look for Oklahoma State? You just got David Taylor, and then say Aaron Brooks just got another job. It's like, well, shoot, that guy just beat him.
Yeah, as a kid getting
Wouldn't that be
recruited.
insane?
Dude, that would be nuts.
That would break the internet. That would
be nuts.
That'd be causing chaos. All right,
Um,
I'll just go with Brooks for the
For yours?
story.
Wow, all
'Cause
right.
that would be insane.
That would be insane. You're insane.
Not realistic. Not realistic.
Unrealistic. My number one, Jordan Burroughs.
You think so? We were
For sure.
I don't know, man. I just
You-
don't get me wrong. I think he would be a phenomenal coach.
Okay.
I think he'd be a great coach. He's done a lot for the sport of wrestling. I think that he's done a lot for Nebraska when he was there.
Okay.
But whether he was the coach there or not, he was the face of Nebraska for how long?
He was the face of Nebraska for probably 10 years.
Athlete and like college athlete and then international athlete, correct?
Yeah.
He was the face of their program, not the coach.
He was the face of the
not
program, but he wasn't
wrestlers
the
on
coach.
team. Yeah, but I just feel like we would have seen Nebraska move to a different tier, in my opinion, based off what you're saying about Jordan Burroughs.
But then by your own logic, the only people worth hiring right now are people who come from Penn State because Penn State's
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
Penn State's dominated.
I'm saying
Everybody
that
else.
I would agree with that, but I would say that we've seen the impact that Jordan Burroughs has had on a program. Maybe not to the level of what a head coach could be, but pretty close. He's been the face of the program for the last decade, for sure.
I see what you're saying, but I just don't think that although he's the face of the program, I don't think that he's the guy. He's able to coach the guys and lead the program, and that means a lot.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference, but I don't think it's as big of a difference as what you're making out.
He has the biggest name by far in wrestling. Gable Steveson, I think, is close. Like if you look
Kyle
at
Dake's right there.
Kyle Dake is right there. But you know what I think he would be excellent at too is like fundraising for the program.
Yeah.
Like I don't think
I
that
don't think NIL would be a problem wherever he went.
no, wherever he went, I mean, I think he'd be able to get as much money as is humanly possible. I think the dude can speak as eloquently as anyone can need to be a good fundraiser. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I
Would you
think
get
it would
more
be.
NIL money as a university if you hired like a recently retired or aging competitor or another assistant coach? Like, would you get more money through NIL or not NIL, just fundraising in general, if you had a Brian Snyder or Jordan Burroughs, Cal Date?
Jordan Burroughs, Cal Date.
Easily, right?
Easily. And the first year is going to be insane.
So, like, if you're an
I bet the
administration at a
numbers that David
university,
Taylor are polling right now are absurd.
yeah, I would agree.
Absurd.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you're a university, who would you go after? You almost have to.
I'd go
with the new
after
NIL stuff and like how important money is. You have to go after these people.
Yeah, it's completely. I would say that at that point you're going to get so much more money doing that. You might as well just hire. You have no reason to hire any of those other guys.
Yes, I would agree. But I also think that that's the same similar argument that you could use why NIL is bad for the competitors too. Not bad, but like there's definitely cons to NIL.
And how's that?
So who is that hurting right there? You just said that like if a program wants to raise more money, they need to go after aging athletes, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Who does that hurt? Which part of the job market does that hurt for college wrestling?
Head coaches,
Assistant coaches.
assistant coaches.
Yes. We just compared Brian.
Oh,
Snyder
the assistant
versus-
coaches who are looking for jobs.
Yes.
Okay.
That hurts that pool of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would say that's a similar argument that you can make for people, the kids who are in college, right? So, NIL, great for the people who are in that transfer portal or the very highest level of successful guys like that would maybe, like Keegan O'Toole's not leaving Missouri, but I would imagine that he got a pay bump, right? Correct.
Oh yeah, I would assume.
I would assume. So, I think that is who NIL is helping more than others, correct?
The Keegan O'Toole's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the transfers.
Mm-hmm.
But who is that hurting? The guys who are freshmen coming into school is trying to become those people. They're not those people yet, right? They're true freshmen.
Yeah.
Now, if they keep having people brought in over top of them, that's a problem.
I don't think it's NIL hurting them. I think that's just people not using their money correctly when they see that these kids. You become an All-American and you don't take care of me at the game now. I'm going to leave and I'm going to go get my
Yeah.
better.
But you know this as well as I do. College wrestling, they're not looking to always develop their own. They're looking, what can my results be this year? What's going to help me with my results as a team this year? That's
Yes.
why they're pulling a lot of red shirts. That's why they're doing a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Because they want the results now.
Yeah.
They're, like Daniel Dennis is a great, like he never won a high school state title.
Right.
How much developing do you think he did in college?
Ton.
I'd argue a ton.
Ton.
He would have never made the lineup at Iowa if they had NIL back then.
The only way he
think
would
about
have
that.
made the
And he's
the
an
only way,
NCAA runner-up.
the only way he would not have made the lineup is if Jason Ness transferred to Iowa. There was only one guy who was able to beat him his senior year. Only one guy in the country was able to beat him his senior year. He would have made the lineup, presumably, unless they got Jason Ness.
You
right?
think they would still have started let's just say they brought in someone around his size, that weight, that it was competitive, but they're paying $1 million to one, and Dan Dennis is on a walk-on.
Well, I don't think they pay him $1 million, but somewhere around there.
You know what I'm saying.
You go to a tournament and you outperform the guy. That's a done deal.
I think financial investment's a super important thing. Look at
they are Super Bowl, but then at the exact same thing, then let's just say, so you would be against scholarships then?
I'm
because
not against scholarships, but I think that kids who are on scholarship are
Get the nod over
they get
guys
the
who
nod
don't.
over guys who maybe are walk-ons because they are the investment to that university, to that program. They're the ones that are invested financially.
Yeah,
That's
they're the
important.
ones who invested, yes. But my investment is not going to take precedence over performance. If I have a guy who's going to perform better,
I think that
I'm gonna start that
we
guy.
can bring this to like professional sports. Look at football. They don't always start the person who they think would do better. If there's someone's doing worse, but they are more invested in financially, I mean, we're going to get off the rails here, but like Deshaun Watson, massive contract. I know you don't know much about football,
none.
but they kept him in because of how much money he's being paid. Total, like, just crap year for him. But they won't go to the next guy because of the financial investment that they have in him.
I would
And
say
think
at
that
best,
argument's the same.
at best, you got a year. If you're on full ride and you're neck and neck with someone else, they're going to be like, What's going on, dude? Why aren't you outperforming these guys? Like, we're investing a lot more money. So you got a year of getting that bump, having been on scholarship, but then after that, you get treated differently if you're on scholarship. Most programs, if you're on scholarship and you're not crushing it, you get treated differently. And I don't think that bump stays consistent. Like, if a guy proves I started here and went here, and now this guy's on scholarship started here and is now here, like, that means a lot for the coaches. And I think they're gonna invest. They're gonna end up investing into
But
a
we know
Dan
people.
Dennis.
I would agree with that, but we know coaches that don't operate that way.
Oh, for sure, they're wrong. But I mean, it doesn't mean like the NIL thing is
But I mean, like,
overwhelmingly hurting people.
what is? I understand what you're saying. And it's like if things worked out perfectly, I would agree with you.
It's not
But they
NIL. Then at the end of the day, hurting kids. It's poor coaching that's hurting kids, which is like, I mean, we could talk about that. But
Okay, but think about it from an administration point. You just paid this kid how much money, and he's not even in your starting lineup.
dude, if this other kid's gonna beat the guy and you're not,
Then the administration will look poorly on the coach. Like you shouldn't have given that kid that much money. Then
yeah.
that's what I mean. Like it just causes problems, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it causes problems when you invest in a kid for a lot of money and they don't perform at all in general, whether or not there's
For
starting the guy,
For sure.
the guy who's on nothing or not.
I don't know. I think this is a good topic. That was a good discussion.
Yeah. Should college wrestling be freestyle? I know you're a huge freestyle fan.
I like freestyle, but I love folk style.
Dude, I remember going to Vegas our freshman year. Dude, Patrick had never been on a flight before in his life. And I thought this plane, I had been on plenty of flights, I thought this plane was going to go down.
It was on the way back.
Turbulence
From
was
Vegas.
absolutely insane. We were dropping like 60 feet at a time.
Dude, me and Cole Martin we just talked about this like 2 days ago.
Dude, and like we were all sweating, and I remember Patrick looking at me and was like, "Is this normal?" And I was like,
Nope.
"No." I looked at you. I was like, "This is normal. This is normal. This is completely fine." Dude, I thought that plane was going down.
So did I.
Yeah, but that was your first freestyle tournament ever, too, right?
No.
No?
Not my first freestyle tournament ever.
Oh, whatever. Maybe I'm embellishing. The turbulence was that bad.
Turbulence was that bad. But no, I remember this vividly. I was sitting by myself with a couple right next to me. Right, I was on the window seat,
Yeah.
and this plane's going everywhere, bro. Like up, down, left, right. I thought we were spinning at one point, and I look over at them, and I'm like, "Okay, you guys seem like you flying a lot." I'm looking around, just being like, "Is anyone else like as scared as I am?" Nope. Until we hit this like one weird wind thing, and we freaking dropped like 25 feet for sure.
Dude, and you know it's bad on a plane when there's not a phone in sight because everyone's like locked in,
Yeah, everyone's
grabbing their seat.
white knuckling their seats.
Yeah, it's like 'cause on a plane, it's just like everyone's doom scrolling. It's the most depressing thing ever. And when that plane starts to shake a lot, there's not a phone in
No,
sight.
dude. So I
It's
looked at
locked
this
in.
couple next to me, and I'm just like, "You guys scared yet? No, no." Never forget this. Scared the shit out of me. He looks at his wife, like deep in her eyes, like that deep gaze that you just like, "Hey, I love you.
Like, this may be the last
This
time.
may be the last time I ever say it, but I love you." And he grabbed her hand, and they just both closed their eyes and bowed their head. And I was like, "Does that mean we're going? What does that mean?"
First flight ever.
Not first flight ever, like first trip ever.
Right.
Flying. But no, we got back and everyone's just looking at me when we got off like, "Hey, that was tough, right?" I was like, "You guys were scared too. Come on."
Yeah.
We were all scared. It
all
wasn't just me.
pretending.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That was
do you think college wrestling should be freestyle?
No,
No, you don't.
I don't. So here's my reason why. I think maybe like if you would have said this to me a decade ago, I could see your argument how it would be. I think the only reason to do it is to help our senior level athletes become better prepared for senior level competition.
The only reason you don't see that,
That's why I
maybe a
would
little
say
bit
that you
exciting?
could. I don't think it's more exciting.
you don't think seeing people like scrap it out on their feet is a little bit more exciting than the mat wrestling?
I think
aspect?
we see wrestling differently. I love mat wrestling.
But would you like objectively, like you watch UFC, people kind of get bored when they see dudes like grappling.
I think people who don't understand the difficulty level of holding someone down, yeah, they get bored by it. Right.
So this is preference, but what do you think would be better for the sport? Going to freestyle?
I
for
think
college wrestling?
I think where college wrestling's at right now is a pretty like. I think the 3-point takedown was a good thing.
Oh,
right?
great.
I know,
Yeah, I like it.
but I think they don't make a step out rule, but I like that it's stalling. Right, they're more prevalent.
It seems like any big rule change that we're making at this point that everyone likes is just a little bit more freestyle-ish. 3-point takedown. Now you really get 2
It's not a
points.
3-point takedown freestyle.
It's not. It's 2 points, but there's no such thing as there's nothing like an escape in freestyle, right? So now you're getting rewarded more for a takedown in folk style. Whereas like back in the day, dude, you would get 2 points and then they would get half of a takedown for just getting away from you. That was insane. I think freestyle's always had that right, and I think when I see a 3-point takedown, it's closer to freestyle. The push out is certainly more it's closer to freestyle. The danger rule. Now it's not if you expose your back like in freestyle, you get 2 points, but
You can't stay exposed. I mean, I just think that's more of a push towards common sense than anything. Rather
Yeah,
than
exactly.
Closer to freestyle.
but I think freestyle is a little bit more just common sense in general.
Then why would they change the rules every year?
Freestyle?
Uh-huh.
It's been incremental.
If it's a common sense thing, it shouldn't be changing that.
Well, they haven't changed. What serious freestyle rule changes have you seen since 2013?
That's a good point. I mean, I could probably go and find some. I know that. I know as
Old
an athlete,
freestyle rules were terrible. The ball grab, the 1-point takedown, the 2 out of 3 periods, insane. I don't know how that got passed by anybody. I don't know how that possibly.
Okay,
got
I'll
passed
tell
by
you this.
anybody.
As a coach, like I coach at the 14U dual teams, right?
Okay.
I'll throw a challenge brick on something that maybe I thought was like a life. This is Greco, but like that's the kind of sphere that I'm talking about, right?
I hate
Or
Greco.
a potential step
we
out.
could probably agree. I would want to get rid of Greco.
I know,
hate
I
Greco.
agree, but like, yeah, I know people are gonna hate us for that. This is a Wisconsin podcast. They love Greco,
Oh, Wisconsin. I forgot.
but no, I like. Okay, so like if I'm taking a shot and I sprawl, but you drive me out. Like this year, the step out rule was a big point of concern. And like obviously that's a small thing, but I feel like it's something new every year becomes a contention point where one ref sees it this way, one ref sees it this way.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's
you
so
could
much
say the
disparity
exact same
between
thing.
it.
That's in every sport. You can see that. You could say that in folk style wrestling. We pushed him out, and then you didn't do a stalling call. Like, well, guess what? It was continuous action, kind of. Oh, well, like there's so many things in college wrestling like that, right?
Okay, what about the caution one with someone staying in the center but not attacking
Caution
at the end of the match? Like, so I saw this so many times in a freestyle match where a kid was winning like maybe 5-2, right? And there's 20 seconds left, and he's avoiding, right? But he's staying in the circle. He's not stepping out. And they would go caution one, caution one, caution one, like, and now it's 5-4, right? With 10 seconds left, stay out of the match. You don't need to call 2 points for caution of one when he's staying in the mat. He's not stepping out, right? Is he avoiding wrestling? Sure, but you shouldn't be calling that 2 or 3 times in a 10-second span.
Well,
I think that's insane.
I mean, stalling points still exist in folk style. You can still stall someone out in the mid-center of the mat. That's just a bad ref. Calling too many passivities.
But that's what I
in the
mean. I
match.
think that it's very subjective between the refs.
Well, stalling's very subjective too.
It is, but I think that they've
In
done
freestyle,
a
if
way better
anything, now you got 3 people reffing the match and having to correspond with each other in order to confirm points.
I would disagree. I think folk style has done a lot more to make stalling less subjective. With dropping down on the leg, going to a side headlock, to the step out and not trying to wrestle back to the center. They've made things that are easier to quantify. Hey, that's a stalling call.
Okay, cool. But do you not think that the neutral nature of freestyle would be more exciting for the common fan? It would bring us more fans at the end of the day.
Okay, can you prove to me that them moving to a 3-point takedown has increased the viewership and fanfare of wrestling?
I can't because of that doesn't mean that there's not nearly as much mat wrestling. Most people start on bottom in the second period. They start on bottom in the third period.
I think
there's
that
still just as
happens
much
less.
mat wrestling and folk style wrestling that there is. Even you just said it. It's more exciting. It's better with a 3-point takedown, right? So you're kind of arguing against yourself there.
I'm not arguing against myself. You're saying that it's producing more viewership. That was your.
No. You said it's more exciting. I'm not saying that 3-point takedown is producing more viewership.
I'm
I'm
saying that a move to freestyle would. Though.
a move to freestyle would. Yes.
Okay, how? Time out.
I don't think we've
I
seen
disagree with that because the viewership of the Olympic field is just not as high as what college wrestling is.
The only reason that college wrestling has so much viewership is because you're not wearing a
I'm not.
white
Yeah,
W.
the attachment to the.
The attachment to the university. The attachment to the university, right? When people see a yellow M on a blue singlet, they go, "Oh, I went there," right? Or I was in a Big Ten school, or I'm from Michigan, right?
Okay.
They love that. They love having something to relate to, And I think that's why the viewership, people know about college football, right? And they can relate that to wrestling now, right? Like that is huge. That's why the viewership in college wrestling is so much bigger. I bet across any sport, if you look at swimming, college swimming is probably more viewed, or swimming is an exception. You got Michael Phelps and celebrities now who are in swimming.
That's where I would kind of push back, is that I think it's the people who are in these sports that are going to make the sport more interesting. Not trying to ruffle any feathers here. Women's basketball, very popular, like recently, correct? Mm-hmm. For what reason?
Caitlin Clark.
Clinton Clark, right? Is it because she came from Iowa? Is it because women's basketball got more exciting? Or is it the personality? The person and all that other stuff, right?
She was exciting.
I would say that wrestling in general has become more popular over the last however long because of the people that we have wrestling right now, not the style that they're doing it in.
Well, we certainly have incredibly exciting wrestlers in freestyle.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it's more the people that are the athletes that are doing it that would cause more viewership for the sport rather than rule changes. I don't think there's anything wrong with the rules right now. I think we need people who are better at the sport, which I think we're doing, right? I think people are high level right now in college wrestling.
I would strongly disagree. I do think the rules have something to do with it. I do think the rules have something to do with how exciting a sport is or isn't.
I'm not disagreeing with that. It could influence the exciting factor of it. I think that the effect that has on viewership is lower than what you're arguing.
Probably. I think really at the end of the day, like you're saying, the people who are involved, and like we talked about last time, now seeing that these people are making $1 million contracts is going to be huge for viewership.
It's insane. Yeah, I know we had that conversation the other day that
Yeah.
that's a big incentive to become better at your sport, right?
Yes.
I think that's probably true. But you said Jordan Burroughs for your athlete coach, right?
Jordan Burroughs, my athlete coach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think he'd be a phenomenal one.
Yeah. I think he would be good. I think he would be a good coach. I don't have any disagreements with that, but
Yeah. I think he'd be sweet. But good talk, Pat.
yeah, man. It was
Yeah.
fun. We got this last one in before you left.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Otherwise, we'd have to zoom in. So we got one more with the good production here.
Yeah, right. I wish.
House.
I wish we could do this every time.
I know we gotta have a really good setup when I get back to
When you
Memphis.
get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Be
I know. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed our first episode. I know we were excited to get that out there finally. It's been a long time in the works.
Yeah, it was a good one. I was surprised with that one. I really didn't know. I was nervous going into it, but I felt like we crushed it.
I thought, yeah.
Had some good content.
And that's kind of like where this whole idea came from. Is like me and you would just talk for hours on end about just random topics.
Pick
you know
up the
what I mean?
phone and chit chat.
Yeah, just chit chatting for like we get off the call. It's like, oh crap, that's been like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I think that that's something that people kind of like, is just back and forth on any topic, right? We're giving our opinions, we're giving like our arguments for it, and I think that that's kind of why we did it. We thought that would resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah. Quick question before we wrap up. If you could go back to your first year in college,
Ooh, I like these. Okay.
what do you think? Do you have one thing in particular you would have done differently that you think could have helped you out? Or maybe misconceptions you had about what you needed to do to get better?
Yes. I think if I would have gone back to my freshman year right now, I think changing the way I viewed what college was going to be like. Like, I went in there with a perception of what college was going to be like. It was not anything like that, but I didn't change the way I behaved. I behaved as if that was still the way. You know what I mean? Like, I was such a recluse that year. I know you were too. Like, we hung out a lot, but it was like we did not go out and like interact with people. Like, it was our first time away from home, and we didn't know what to do, so we just didn't do anything. And I think that going back, if I could, I would definitely change that. I'd try to go meet more people, because there's such an influx of people who were in the exact same situation as we were, you know. And I think that we kind of made that year harder than it needed to be on ourselves.
And you think that would have translated to?
Well, think about it. I mean, for me especially, I felt like I got better the longer I was in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not every year, but I definitely think as a whole, as a wrestler, I got better the longer I was in college. Now, I think partly that is because of, like, obviously you're in the room every day, you're going to continue to get better. Mm-hmm. I think my mental state drastically improved. right? I was starting having fun,
Right, right.
right? I was meeting people. I was growing into an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that that really helped my mood. I didn't hate going to class, going to practice, going to all these other things, right? Like we talked about this before. Is it a job? Is it not?
Yeah.
Right? How much of it needs to be a job for you to be successful? I think that first year, like everything was just, this is a job. I have so many responsibilities, and I'm just like, this is my first time onloading that much responsibility, and I think it was tough for us to manage, me especially. So that's why I started to stay more recluse.
Yep.
Obviously, the longer we were in college, the better that got. The more we were able to like multitask and like have a social life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was, and I know we've talked about this before. I know that a social life helped a lot for you as well. Like just kind of like get your mind out of that.
Constantly wrestling,
Yes,
wrestling,
like
wrestling,
just
wrestling.
taking a break from that mindset is very healthy in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I would go back and try to fix for that first year.
Okay, okay. I like that. I think that's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about this social aspect too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, social doesn't have to mean going out, right, or partying or anything like that. It's like literally just meeting other people that are in the same situation as you.
You don't have to sacrifice being a normal person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that we especially did. I think because I remember talking about that a lot.
Yeah. No girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
No going out. No meeting new people. Better to just stay in your room and don't get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think for me, I probably would have bought in more to the little things.
In what
like,
aspect?
Lifting.
Yeah,
I really didn't.
You really did not like it.
There was a time when I bought in for a little bit, and I actually did get a lot better. But I think I was just one of those guys who was like, wrestling's the only thing that matters.
Yeah,
Just get
that
better
was
at
more
wrestling.
your freshman year. Was your thought process there? That wrestling only mattered.
Yeah, freshman and even later years at Wisconsin was a lot. Even dude, my senior year I didn't lift at all. It was Cal Poly.
Cal Poly, you didn't
Not
lift?
at all. Didn't lift at all. Yeah, and I really regret that.
Really?
Yeah, just thinking.
Well, you got movement and exploring going on right now.
Yeah, which has been huge for me. I love like the functional patterns.
What's his name again?
CJ
CJ.
Kabliska or Kablinski, I'm not sure, but he's legit. Like that's really helped me out. Like those private lessons with him.
Yeah.
Just feel like in college I didn't know how to even like use my legs, and now I know how to like I can feel the mat with my feet. I'm strong. I can use my feet. I can use my calves, my legs, and everything to wrestle. Where before it was just kind of like I was trying to grab a guy because my legs. I remember wrestling Alex Marinelli in overtime at Wisconsin, and I got up, and I couldn't feel my legs. They were
Couldn't
so
feel your
tight.
like what match was that? Was that when we were there or
When we were at home at Wisconsin, and I
was
just
that when we revealed the Eli thing on the mat?
yeah,
day?
that was the Eli thing on the mat. Yeah,
So that was like when they all came out with those Believe shirts. Like no disrespect to Iowa, and I know that. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that.
yeah.
That's okay.
But no, I remember like just standing up and being like, I can't feel my legs. I do not know how I'm gonna win this.
That was a big like event. There was
Huge
a
event.
lot of people there.
It was packed.
That was probably the
Enormous.
most packed that we've ever had that field house.
I remember we were warming up and like we'd be warming up in the back and kids be coming for autographs and be like, I
Yeah,
can't
it was crazy.
sign autographs right now, dude. Like I'm up in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, but it was sick. It was really cool. Packed crowd. But yeah, that was probably the one thing that I would have invested in was believing in that.
And the little things of like lifting and like
Nutrition, lifting, and like you're saying too, just like being a normal person was also a big thing. But
I in regards to wrestling, I would say that's
yeah.
fair.
Because you're gonna spend at least
'Cause,
3
like-
hours a week lifting, like you might as well buy in and try to figure out how to get better, like build your body.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But
I don't know. I think you definitely made like massive jumps that first year. Like think about the guys that you were beating, like Midlands, right?
yeah,
I think that was like a massive coming out party for you, and you weren't even in the starting lineup.
huge tournament. I was just really excited to wrestle, which I think I see a lot of really good guys coming into college and they're nervous about how they're going to perform.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought for some reason I had this idea that people thought that I wasn't good.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Like people thought that I was overrated.
you always thought that you had to prove yourself.
Dude, I remember going on WrestleStat, which is not a legitimate ranking site whatsoever. And they had me ranked, there were like 311 people, and they had me ranked 307. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was probably just alphabetical order after
Was I
a certain
311?
point. It was like, no. You were a different weight. I didn't check you.
Oh, it was the only weight class. Okay.
But I remember they had Jake Kovac ranked ahead of me, and that pissed me off.
Yeah, I miss Jake.
Jake was a good guy.
I miss Jake.
But I put that on my screensaver. My freshman year was like 307 and then 311. I was like, I cannot believe they did that. So my whole freshman year, I was under the impression that people thought that I wasn't good.
Interesting.
And so it's easy to like,
You remember your match with Berger at Iowa State?
yeah, Tyler Berger's a returning All-American, and then
I bet you wish you could go back and fix that, don't you?
every single loss that I have, I wish I could go back and fix
that
it.
one, that one hurt.
That one hurt bad.
That one hurt me.
Yeah, I thought it was tied, which ended up biting me in the ass my senior year as well in the NCAA semifinals.
But yeah, I don't think maybe next time we could talk about that, your match with Shane Griffith, and just kind of like where your mentality was when that all happened. And
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good thing to kind of give people an insight on.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to talk about. It would be short. I don't dwell on it too much.
No, I know, but you could also talk about like how you had to come back that next day because you came back into what?
I don't know how I did it.
Did you take third or fourth that year?
Third.
Yeah, third.
I don't know how I did it because I
That
didn't
was
sleep at all that night. I was devastated. It was my senior year. I wasn't going to be an NCAA champion. I had Alex Marinelli and then I had Cam Amin. Alex Marinelli I hadn't beat for 5 matches.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of things going against you at that point, so I think that'd be kind of good for people to get an insight on.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to talk
So we
about.
could talk about that. We could also talk about like champ picks for college, right? Who we think's gonna win at each weight class next episode.
Yeah.
Maybe team race.
Maybe underrated pound for pound guys.
Underrated pound for pound guys.
I think I'd like to talk about that. There's some rankings there I think that are kind of
I
backwards. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. So tune in next time. But thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of
Washed
Washed Up. Catch you guys next time.